Now it is January 20th, 2023, and I cut me some red osier dogwood today. It's pretty wild though how many sticks you can get out of a couple branches. That's going to be a whole lot of odds for something to grow. So I ended up with 120 cuttings, and I've got 15 in each cup. And I'm going to do dirt, I'm going to do sand, I'm going to try not to knock that one over. These ones I'm going to just push right into the ground, and these ones I'm going to do water. But first I'm going to wound 15 of each and keep the other 15 healthy and safe just the way they are, I guess, and monitor to see what is working the best. I've got half of them wounded. The other half are unharmed. I've got the unharmed cuttings in the light colored pots, and I've got the wounded cuttings in the darker pots. And otherwise I treated them all the same, and just gonna let it do its thing out here for the rest of winter. It's January 23, and it's the first time that snow has hit any of the cuttings. Everything that they're in has drainage, and I think they're going to be just fine. So I've got 30 more red osier dogwood cuttings to stick in the ground. 15 of them are wounded, 15 of them are not. I've got these cages here. And I apologize for the wind, but I've got these cages here, and I've paced out every 15 yards down this trail, and I've got some hinge cuts over there, and I plan to hinge cut a few more of those trees and a few more of those trees once I establish the property line. I don't want to harm anybody else's, even though I don't think they'd mind. So today, even though there's snow on the ground, it's pretty soft under there. We've had about a week of rain and just a little bit of snow overnight. So I'm gonna stick 5 wounded, and then 5 unharmed, and then 5 wounded, 5 unharmed every 15 yards. And then I'm gonna cage them. So I've got 1 in 5 chance, or 5 in 5 chance, of each spot throughout the 15 yards to actually take root. So I just took my boots and scraped out a little area. I've never done this before, but they do just push right in. So I'm gonna get them all in there and get this caged up. Now this was 10-foot high fencing that was all rolled up, and I cut it in half. So there's little spikes like this on all of the ends to stick it in the ground. So even with the wind and weather and everything else, that should not go anywhere. I brought this snowplow stake tool out with me, and I'm not even going to use it today. Even that little tiny twig of a branch, that little skinny one, almost the size of a pencil lead, went right in, and the big ones did just as well. Okay, the last ones are now in, and I'm probably 35 yards away from those hinge cuts, maybe 40 or 50, I don't know. And a little closer here, I have verified that they are bedding there, and I've also verified, you can see the tracks in the snow, that they are using this trail that I've mowed quite regularly. So I made sure that I didn't completely block the trail, but I put the red osier dogwoods on the west side of the trail because there's a lot of wind, as you know. There's a lot of wind coming across that field. So if I can give them a way to block the wind and mosey on over towards the food plots and my tree, that'll be even better. It's pretty moist out here too. It's got standing water right on the field. I don't know about you, but I can tell that all the way up to that ridge is uphill. So every time it rains a lot, this side of the field stays wet. It's actually kind of carved a little bit of a river at times through this edge of the field. And apparently red osier dogwood really enjoys kind of a swampy, wet condition. So that's what we're doing. Here are my water cuttings for the red osier dogwoods. And once again, there are the harmed ones, there are the unharmed ones, or wounded I call them. They're in my bathroom window facing west, and I'll change the water once a week. They've been there since, let's see, it was Friday the 13th, so good luck to these things. It's been 1 week on these red osier dogwood cuttings in the water. You can kind of see the water line, how they've resided from the top of that like starburst down to about there. So they are drinking, that's good. It's time to change the water today, and I'll just keep on changing the water every Friday. This is the 15th day, and I just changed the water because I forgot to yesterday. And I'm starting to get a little bit of growth on both sets, whether wounded or not. Indoors water. So this is the morning of week 3 in water for the red osier dogwoods, and it's quite apparent that it doesn't matter if sticks are wounded or not when you take cuttings of these, because every single one has a sign of green on it one way or another. I still don't see any root matter building up, but you can kind of see my water line and how much they're drinking right there. So they've drank like, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch. And so it's time for fresh water and back to the little shelf they've been hanging out on. I'm week 3.5, and the new growth is just taking off like crazy on these red osier dogwoods. I definitely wish that I would see some root action going on, but I'm trying to keep my water levels right up about the top of this little starburst, and my water is just sucking down like crazy. So I'm going to split these into 2 more cups. I'm going to fill them up, I'm going to top them off to the top of that with more fresh water and keep observing for root growth. All right, now they are separated as fair as I could, given the different sizes and growth rates. Well, it's Tuesday, February 21st. These cuttings were taken and put in the water on Friday the 13th of January. So it's been about 5.5 weeks. You can see how much water they're still consuming from the top of that little starburst. That's been my reference point all along. My greens are just shooting up like crazy. My windows also need to be cleaned. I still have no roots. There's no root growth. They all look good and healthy. I do notice that this water is a little greener. So today I'm going to just go ahead and change their water, even though it's only been half a week. I've been changing every Friday, and I'm going to fill them right back up to the top. So I have all new water, and I even went ahead and scrubbed this cup out and got rid of any of the green buildup. I rinsed all of the cuttings as well when I was rinsing out the cups, and no change yet. I'm wondering if maybe it has to do with calendar days, or time of year more than my days in water or in warmth. So I'm going to let these be just a little while longer. And then my plan is I will cut some of the greens off on one cup and leave them on the other. And then these are the harmed ones or wounded. And I will do the same, trim some of this green off and leave some of this the way it is and see what happens any different.